Good day and welcome to the Lilly Roddy Show, coming to you from the LRS studios here in Houston, Texas. Thank you so much for joining me this week as we look at what's going on November the 22nd through the 28th, 2015, Thanksgiving week. I'm so grateful that fall has arrived and we finally have some cooler temperatures to stay here in Houston. Of course, when it gets too cold, I'll be complaining about that. But I hope your holiday weather will be perfect. I also want to thank the people that have been sending me such nice compliments on my show. It's always good to have positive feedback and to know that what I'm doing is helpful to people that listen to my show. If you would like to get in touch with me, you can always reach me at lillyroddyshow.com or find me at lillyroddyshow@aol.com, on Pinterest, Twitter, or Facebook, and in Outsmart Magazine, where I write my monthly column. The URL for that is outsmartmagazine.com. And I was just recently voted by Outsmart Magazine readers the best astrologer in Houston for 2015. I'm really just so honored to be chosen. This week I'll be talking about the upcoming Thanksgiving week. I'll also be talking about archetypes of the planets. The meanings of the planets are a lot easier to understand if you have an image of a person connected to that planet's definition rather than just a list of words. Well, let's take a look at Thanksgiving week. I know in my last show, November the 15th through the 21st, 2015, I spent a lot of time talking about the overall effects of Neptune and how it might flatten out or lower our expectations about the holidays. And you may want to go back and rewatch that show if you're interested in that perspective. All holidays have an emotionally loaded expectation. Each year we read about more depressions and suicides during the holidays. So there's plenty to deal with, even if the planets are making it more or less difficult than usual to contend with. And of course, this holiday time, the planets are making it a bit more difficult. With Saturn squaring Neptune exactly on Thanksgiving morning, along with Mercury and the Sun also feeding into this larger energy pattern, we could experience many extremes, ups and downs, even if everything appears to be fine on the surface. Let's start with combining the energies of Saturn and Neptune and looking at a way to work with these energies rather than trying to fight against them. Neptune's a very unusual planet. As part of her process, she awakens us to our own illusions about the reality that we have created. In this sense, Neptune awakens us from our own sleep of avoidance. Now, I'm referring to transiting Neptune and not natal Neptune. Neptune in the natal chart has a different process than transiting Neptune. Transiting Neptune won't let us hold on to our false ideas or unfulfilling social or work conditions. Sometimes transiting Neptune is like having cognitive dissonance. Your personal truth and dreams come into conflict with reality. On the other hand, transiting Saturn is about redefining and reestablishing a better sense of reality, a better sense of personal boundaries, and focusing on the things that are reasonable that work, so that we minimize the risk we take in our own lives. So with Saturn square Neptune, we essentially awaken from a dream, and then Saturn wants to blame us for wasting our time. A more creative approach might be to welcome the clarity that Neptune brings us about our own illusions. Working with Neptune can be unsettling. It can make us feel foolish, and in some ways it seems that we've allowed ourselves to buy into our own belief systems. But the truth is, at that moment of awareness, we are no longer able to feed that system and the illusions end. Of course, part of the difficulty is when those illusions end, then there appears to be nothing, which of course is not true. But it does feel that way when we're with Neptune. Now, Saturn wants to come in and initially wants to criticize us because she believes we should have known this before we knew it. A better approach and use of Saturn might be to skip the emotional beating and recreate a reality that fits your life now instead of something that doesn't exist or based on when you were a child. That's why people always say the holidays are for children, because they've lost their own childlike joy of the holidays and they project that onto the children. Transiting Saturn in astrology is a builder. She wants us to find things that work for us and make us feel secure both financially and emotionally. By owning your own Saturn, the planet of duty and obligation, and the responsibility associated with it, you can create a holiday and a personal tradition that supports you now rather than when you were 10 years old. Saturn can also say that she's tired of this pointless tradition and is happy to do anything else. Either way, you take responsibility for making those holidays fit you and not you fitting them. So the theme of Neptune, what you really want, and Saturn, how do you want to respond, are both pulling on us this entire Thanksgiving week. Essentially, with the square of Saturn to Neptune, we have a better chance of letting go of a false reality and recreating a reality that is totally supportive to us. We can enjoy our old memories. We can have them and make new ones that will make us happy now. The effects of Neptune and Saturn will be very strong Wednesday the 25th, Thursday the 26th, Friday the 27th, Saturday the 28th, and Sunday the 29th. So I would say to you, you need to make the best use of those energies by allowing the vision of Neptune to release parts of your life that are no longer true. And essentially, you don't live at home. And with Saturn, we integrate our parent and we take over those traditions and holidays and design them so they fit us. So it's a much better way to use these energies instead of wondering why isn't life like it used to be when we were younger. And the reason is, and I'll just speak for Saturn, because it isn't. Okay? Grow up. Boo-hoo, get up. That's Saturn's point of view. Now, let's move on to a lighter topic and talk about the archetypes of the planets. I find teaching astrology and having people remember what you're talking about, it's easier to create an image rather than for you to remember a list of words. First, what's an archetype? An archetype is a representation of an idea that we all share, but we'll also have our very own and different personal experiences with that archetype. For example, if I say the word mother, we all have some clear definition for what we think mother means. We all believe that a mother is supposed to be nurturing and caring to her children. Now, whether that's true of our own individual experiences or with our own mothers, that's a whole other story. So while dealing with mother, let's look at the imagery and the archetypes of the moon. The moon in our natal chart certainly represents how we are nurtured. That pattern is set in early life and is symbolized by the way the relationships we have with our mother growing up. So the moon is the mother, and mom can be happy about who we are or disappointed or even angry. And this is precisely why, as we age, we need to recapture and nurture ourselves and take back our mothering energies and not expect our mothers to do something that's based on an expectation that we have about her. Because in that moment, we free ourselves from projecting that part of ourselves onto our mother. We own that, it becomes who we are, and we nurture ourselves, and then we can actually appreciate the efforts that our mom and our parents make. The archetype of the sun is a hero figure, someone we admire, someone whose light warms us all. Typically in traditional astrology, the sun is looked at as the father. But in my experience as a reader, it can be anyone who inspires us to live up to our own potential. So a mother can be the sun, or a favorite uncle, or even a sibling. Who is your hero? That's who the sun is. Now, Mercury has a few roles. Mercury represents our siblings, the people that we spent our early life experiences with day to day, our neighbors, our cousins. As we age, this becomes our co-workers or our close friends that we chat with every day. Mercury's our neighbor. So anybody that you chat with frequently and share the boring, mundane parts of your life, this person is your Mercury. Venus is our BFF, or our romantic partner. We just like being around these people because it feels good to be with them. Venus can also be associated with sexuality and sensuality. So Marilyn Monroe is a good Venus archetype. Omar Sharif would be a good male version of the Venus archetype. Mars is our defender. Mars is fight or flight. Mars is also the coach and the cheerleader. Mars is an inspirational energy that pushes us to compete with ourselves. Mars can be the hometown hero or the person who acts to protect others. Mars is usually associated with masculine figures, but Diana of the Huntress is a good example of an assertive and confident female. Who is your Mars? Who is your hero? And my answer to that question for this year, Athena is my hero. So the next time that someone talks to you about Venus, just remember the archetype or the person that represents this ideal to you. Or when they say Mars, do you choose a protector or do you choose someone to compete with for your archetypal image? I hope this helps to give you some clarity about the meaning of the planets. Thinking of them as live beings, as they actually are, will help you and to be more in touch with your own subconscious connections and archetypes. Well, thank you for joining me this week, November the 22nd through November the 28th, 2015, as we look at the archetypes of the planets, the emotional intensity of the Saturn-Neptune square on Thanksgiving, and hopefully ways to manage those energies so you can have the best holiday ever. This is the Lilly Roddy Show coming to you from the LRS studios here in Houston, Texas, reminding you to keep those stars in your eyes. Bye-bye.